Terrific question. I was just at a conference last week. I gave the keynote at this conference in Salt Lake City with 400 history educators, National Council on History Education. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And this was exactly the topic. And we spent a whole day talking about it. So what you're asking is like the $1 million question, right? Um, so I think certainly the way to teach history is not to wag your finger at people and tell them that they're wrong and bad and things like that. That just turns everyone off. That's not the way to do it. But it's also not the right way to teach history as a kind of feel good celebration of one group or another. History is not going to a sporting event and cheering, "Yay, USA." That's fine to do that. It's okay to be patriotic. But our patriotism, which matters in the classroom, should not guide our analysis and research. So I think the way to teach history is to teach history as a full story, the good and the bad, the achievements and the failures. It's sort of the way I think about parenting. We have two teenagers. Actually, our second is just going to be going to college soon. And, I've always thought the best parents were not the parents who told their kids, you're always right, you're always the best. Now come home, eat chocolate cake, and watch TV all night. The best parents are those who say, we love you, we care about you, we support you, but we're going to hold you to high standards. And if you do something wrong, if you don't do your homework on time, there are going to be consequences at home, right? Same thing here. We should teach that our country was born of very high aspirations, probably higher aspirations than any other society. And in part, we've lived up to some of those aspirations. Look at free speech in our society. No society has free speech like our society. I'm the child of immigrants. I get to be a professor. I can't imagine that, in any other society. My mother's family came fleeing pogroms in Russia. She's Jewish. My father's family came fleeing starvation in India. I'm half Indian, half Jewish. That's like, right. That's an American story, right? That's the beauty of our country. All of us. I'm guessing there's no one in your room who's on the Mayflower, right? We're all mixes. That's the beauty of our country. But then we also have to acknowledge that we haven't always lived up to our aspirations. And we believe in our aspirations. It's patriotic to say, I love my country. I want my country to live up to its aspirations. And where it hasn't, I'm going to hold it to account. Slavery would be one of those. The white supremacy after the Civil War and the violence of the Ku Klux Klan and things like that, which I talk about. I talk about it in the book Memphis, 1866. If you don't know this story, you should. This is a prosperous African-American community. They're former slaves. They've been in the Union Army. There were 125,000 slaves who ran from their plantations to join the Union Army. They put on a uniform. They defended the Union. They were building a town, a community in Memphis, and the white community didn't want them there, and not only violently attacked them, raped the women in public, burnt their houses down, did all sorts of. It's all documented. There's no doubt any of this happened. We have to hold ourselves to account and say that's unacceptable. And the people who committed that crime, which included the local police sheriff in Memphis, the local judge, they were part of the rioting band of white people that went and did this to this free Black community of veterans. None of them were convicted. None of them were convicted. That's not acceptable. That's not living up to our ideals. And I don't think there's anything unpatriotic in saying what I just said. We're a country of law. We're a country of fairness, and we need to hold ourselves up to the highest ideals. That's how I teach the very period we're talking about here. The Abraham Lincoln was fighting for the highest of ideals, and so many Union soldiers, so many people living in the Confederacy too. And we should give them credit for that. They were fighting for their independence as they saw it. But that does not in any way, acknowledging that, justify our being silent or whitewashing the crimes that are committed as well. So I'm for a full teaching. I want young people to see our country in its highest aspirations and its greatest achievements and where it's failed, and be motivated to make it better. And I think if you frame it that way, I hope that reasonable people can see that what you're doing is not intended to make anyone feel attacked, nor to celebrate anyone. It's to help us build a better country. That's what I think we're all about.